So much to talk about with Gab Marcotti and Don Hutchison. Don, we're talking about the handball rule. Both penalties for Juventus that Ronaldo converted, interpreted to be handball. Your reaction?
Oh, the life got sucked out of the game, Dan. I mean, I can nearly get on board at a push at the first one, Daron, when Dybala kicks the ball off his hand, when his hands and his arms are tucked in by his side, so the hands are not out wide trying to make himself bigger, and the referee gives a penalty to Juve, and Ronaldo tucks it away, and you think at 1-1 they're going to get out of there with a point, and it's not bad because they were terrible. Juve tonight. Atalanta was sensational, and then Atalanta take the lead with a terrific goal from Malinovsky, and then the last minute of the game, Muriel is adjudged to have handballed again in his own 18-yard box when Higuain kicked the ball off him, and Higuain was actually trying to get the ball out of the 18-yard box to a fellow black and white shirt who was standing outside the 18-yard box, and it just accidentally hit him. The referee had no hesitation, went to the spot, 2-2, last minute, Juve got lucky, but it sucks the life out the enjoyment of football. Being an ex-player, it feels like I'm losing the game that I fell in love with. I understand the referee had to make his decisions, but the lawmakers are turning this handball law into an absolute farce.
Gab, to be fair to the referee, we've seen this all season, haven't we?
We have, and look, I know people are going to make the cracks about Juve, but Juve have been on the receiving end of this quite a bit. Just think of De Ligt, think of Bonucci against Milan. De Ligt, I think he's had 3 or 4 of them this season, going back to the first part of the year. They made a decision to enforce this rule in a very, very rigid way. If the arm is away from the body, then, we really, really limit the discretion of the referee. But, the upshot is there's more penalties in Serie A than in other leagues. And when you get decisions that, I think clearly don't feel right, like the second one, then it's incredibly deflating. If on top of that it comes at the end of this very emotional game where Atalanta played so well, then you get reactions like Don's, which I think are completely understandable.
Here's the problem, though, because we've always heard it, haven't we? What we want is consistency from referees, and that's exactly what they've delivered in Italy this season regarding this law. So how do you fix it, Don? How do you make this so you can love the game again?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question. Not one that I think you can solve in a couple of seconds. I think you've got to sit around the table. And my way of fixing it, and I might be a little bit old school, is try and give the referee the final say on the pitch. And
but then that takes away the consistency of it all, doesn't it? Then it becomes completely subjective, doesn't it? That's the issue, and that's what they're trying to eradicate, because different referees will interpret it in completely different ways. At least if it hits the arm in whatever manner, it's going to be a penalty.
But therein lies the problem, doesn't it? Because surely the referee on the pitch, if he thinks it's a deliberate handball, go and give a penalty. If he thinks something's accidental, like the 2 Juve penalties were tonight, they were both accidental, you can't give them. And it just feels really wrong, because I know what the very elite footballers will be thinking at the top end of the pitch. They will be thinking, if I get someone 1v1 in the 18-yard box, all I'm going to do is I'm not going to try and find a player. I'm not going to try and find an assist. I'm deliberately going to kick it off a defender's hand. And therein lies the problem, because that cannot be a handball. If players start doing that and we're seeing handballs, the game's gone.
Gab?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this thing with players kicking the ball off the hands, I mean, look, that's why you see defenders with their arms behind their back. And Darun had his arms behind his back until he didn't, until the shot, and until the ball came and he turned. I genuinely don't think that's the issue so much. The issue is when we get these extreme situations. And, make no mistake about it, this isn't a VAR thing. The referee on the pitch saw exactly what happened, and he said, all right, based on the laws of the game, I'm a top flight referee. I've been told to interpret these rules a certain way. I've been told that there's very limited discretion, and I have to give this penalty. I don't like it, but I have to give this penalty. It is something that, I think maybe we in the media can do our part a little bit If we almost created this situation because so many times when there have been marginal handballs in those situations, and people have gone and they've complained about referees, and they've gone on, and we've indulged them and said referees had a shocker, why didn't he give that, or made accusations of bias. We've kind of created a situation where they said, all right, no more of this. Every time it hits the ball, we'll be consistent. And like I said, they have been consistent. Juventus have been penalized over this as well. I think what we can say, and I don't want to take away from Atalanta's performance, is that if you were to award a Serie A title the way you do it in gymnastics or diving, and do it based on points and who's been the best team and who's played the best football this year, there would be only one winner, and it would be Atalanta.
Why are you?
It's a shame, Dan. We've just spent 3, 4, 5 minutes talking about the referees and VAR and handball and the laws of the game. We've not even mentioned the 2-2 game. We've not even mentioned the standard of football that we just witnessed for 90 minutes. It was an incredible game. As Gab said, it was really emotional. It was back and forth. Zapata was bullying De Ligt in the first 25 minutes of the game. Papu Gomez was amazing. Atalanta were creating chances after chance, and Juve showed a bit of bottle in the second half. So we've completely forgot about the actual game that went on.
Well, let's talk about the game that went on. As you mentioned, I think even the most ardent Juve fan would struggle to put up an argument as to why they should have taken anything from this game. What was wrong with them, Don?
Well, they didn't come at the traps particularly well, and Atalanta kept the ball. I mean, they kept the ball for fun, but they were penetrating with their passes. They weren't just keeping the ball for possession's sake. And Ilicic had a chance early on. Zapata had a chance. Papu Gomez seemed, for 15, 20 minutes of the first half, he was just pulling strings for fun. And it felt the way the game was going, the flow of the game. It was only a matter of time before Atalanta would then take the lead, which they did. And Zapata scored a great goal, lovely little flick from Papu Gomez. And then, like I said, then the penalty then kicks in. Then Gasperini takes his best players off the pitch and brings fresh legs on. Then Malinovsky scores an amazing goal on his left foot with about 10 minutes to go. Then you think injustice has been done. They can maybe hold on Atalanta, and it'd be a great story because they get closer to Juve. And we've got a title push and a title run in. Juve got some tough games going on. So you're trying to work that all out inside 90 minutes. And then at the end, the last-minute penalty sort of ruins it for everyone, unless you're a Juve fan.
Well, indeed, Juve will definitely take the point there, Gab. Obviously, they're going to win the title once again. However, big picture, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, certainly, before the return of the Champions League in August.
No question. And look, part of me is reluctant to come out and criticize Juve because I really don't want to take anything away from Atalanta, but I think Don celebrated them. We saw, again, some serious flaws. This Juve was like the Juve that we saw at the end of the Milan game and in some of the previous outings. He made a big call leaving out Pjanic again. Pjanic has been up and down. I'm not sure Bentancur in the playmaking department, at least with this midfield, I don't think he can boss the midfield, and I don't think he can lead it. I don't know that he's a playmaker there. Atalanta shut them out further up the pitch, and I thought defensively they were vulnerable, despite the fact that you had De Ligt and Bonucci in there. And I think all these things are things that will give Sarri cause to concern. He has to figure this stuff out, because I'll tell you what, I mean, they still have to overturn that Champions League round of 16. If they don't even make it to Portugal, I think there's going to be a lot of people saying, why are we continuing with this guy?
Gab, I'm thinking, just returning to Atalanta, when Leicester went on that run in the Premier League, and everyone was genuinely excited about it. People love this kind of fairy tale 5,000 to 1 shot story. Is it similar in Italy? Is everybody kind of on board and supporting them?
I think everybody in Italy, except for Juve supporters and Brescia, who are Atalanta's mortal enemies, I think everybody has been willing Atalanta on, because it has been such a tremendous story. It's been such phenomenal football to watch, with the goal scoring, with abandon. And look, even got somebody like Gasperini, who's not the most likable person, all of a sudden he's widely admired because of what he's been able to do. And they've been fantastic to watch. They've been innovative. And it's not just the front three and Papu and the Papu dance. It's Muriel off the bench. It's Malinovsky with a rocket. It's Pasalic, who by the way, they've signed for next season. So he's going to stick around. It's Robin Gosens, who's, I think, has arguably been, or already is one of the top, right-sided wingbacks in Europe. So, you put all these things together, and you have an immensely likable, immensely enjoyable team. But this hasn't come out of nowhere. You know, Atalanta are in the Champions League because they finished 4th last season. So this is something that's really been built the right way and built over time.
Who would have thought PSG against Atalanta would prove to be such an exciting prospect, Don?
It's going to be amazing. I mean, you know, you're trying to think what shape are PSG going to be in. I know they've got a couple of cup finals, but they've not trained properly for 2 or 3 months, so you're not sure if they're going to be 100% and up to speed. And as Gab said, you know, when you watch Atalanta, Dan, we talked about them last week. They are capable of scoring 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. I think they've scored 7 3 times. They're the top scorers in Serie A, and they can literally score goals for fun because Gasperini's men play such an attacking style and are so fluent when they get to the top end of the pitch. And you know, they're such a good side to watch. They do leak 1 or 2 goals. They're not the greatest because they commit so many bodies forward, but they are one of the most exciting teams in Europe, and you can't help but think the PSG game, you can't help but think them games are going to see lots of goals in them.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.